Hey everybody, welcome back to another Jackson Jet Setting Cruise video. Today we're telling you all you need to know before sailing on Royal Caribbean's Navigator of the Seas. The Navigator of the Seas is a Voyager-Class ship, which is now just really mid-sized by Royal Caribbean standards, despite being one of the largest ships in the world when it launched. There are a ton of things to share, so let's keep going, but before we do, if you like this type of cruise content, if you love travel content, please subscribe to my channel, give this video a like, and leave us a comment. It really helps us out. So first thing you should know is that Navigator of the Seas was launched in 2002 as one of the last Voyager-Class ships built by Royal Caribbean, so it's currently 21 years old. However, Navigator underwent an amazing renovation by Royal Caribbean, which they call an amplification, and the whole ship was sparkling, brand new feeling when I was on board. Having been on several amplified ships, this one was definitely my favorite that I've been on, including having one of the longest water slides at sea, which is actually a bona fide water coaster. If you want a full tour of the ship, check out our Navigator of the Seas full ship tour, which we've noted below. And if you want our full thoughts on the ship, you can check out my review video as well on the channel. So next, if you're sailing on Navigator of the Seas anytime soon, it's Royal's only ship home ported on the West Coast out of the port of Los Angeles. It's been many years since Royal Caribbean last tried this, so it was really exciting in 2022 that she made her way over to Los Angeles, and she's sailing a mix of 3, 4, and 7 night sailings down to the Mexican Riviera. If you're sailing a Navigator, you can stay at some of the hotels that are walking distance from the port, but that area is not all that amazing, honestly, and if you're not really from the area, I'd recommend staying somewhere like Long Beach, where there are just more things to do as a tourist, or maybe somewhere even further away and more exciting, more LA, or Orange County perhaps. Just remember that traffic is legendarily bad in Los Angeles, so leave plenty of time getting to the port. Won't be that big of a deal on a weekend sailing, but if you're trying to go anywhere during rush hour, it's a disaster. Once you've booked your cruise, you're going to want to download the Royal Caribbean app if you haven't already. You can plan a lot of your cruise before you leave home, and you'll be rewarded with tons of discounts on most of your activities for doing so, including beverage packages, unlimited dining, shore excursions, and even arcade credits. I've focused my pre-bookings around sale periods like Black Friday or Cyber Monday, where I've nabbed some serious savings, like 50% off all the things I wanted to do. You can check in for your cruise 45 days in advance on the app, making your arrival super easy and quick. I've been on board ships in less than 30 minutes from arriving in the port because of this, so definitely something I would consider doing. But on a ship as big as the Navigator of the Seas, booking things in advance is essential, I think, so I recommend taking advantage of the sales as part of your pre-planning process. On board, I'll detail some of my favorite things to do. First, I like to get to the ships, no matter what cruise it is, as early as possible on sail away day. So there are a ton of things to do on board. I love checking out the ships immediately. I love running deck to deck, seeing all the cool stuff that I'm going to do over my time on board. You're going to want to make any restaurant reservations that you haven't done already. So that means both specialty restaurants, which are available sometimes at 50% off on the first night. So I've gotten that before, so definitely take advantage there. But also the main dining room. If you're on the My Time dining, if you don't have a set time, it's super important because sometimes the wait for a table can be pretty long on these ships. If you're into pools, on board the Navigator of the Seas, there are tons of great pools. This ship does sail during the winter months out of the Pacific, so it does get a little bit cold, but if you're into pools, if you're into water slides, the Riptide and the Blaster are great water slides on board. You got to get on board early and either grab that pool seat or hop in line for the water slides before all the crowds descend upon it. Sea days are going to be super busy here. If you got kids or if you're into water slides yourself, like myself, definitely jump in there as soon as possible. When it's time to dine, I do have a few tips for on board. Navigator of the Seas features the Windjammer Cafe and the main dining room. Like all other ships across Royal Caribbean's fleet, those are completely free. No need to pay for those. The Windjammer, of course, getting super busy during peak times, especially around breakfast. But if you're using My Time dining for the main dining room, you're going to want to reserve those times in advance, like I mentioned earlier. You can do that by connecting to the ship's Wi-Fi and using the app. You do not need an internet plan to do that, so don't worry about buying a package if you don't want to get internet on your vacation. The wait times can get kind of crazy for tables, so if you're not willing to share a table with another party, definitely take advantage of this tip. I like to pick at least one specialty dining meal each trip, and the Navigator has several of Royal Caribbean staples on board, including chops, grill, and azumi. I'd avoid Jamie's Italian on board. I wasn't really a fan of the food or the menu that they had compared to Royal's other Italian concept, Giovanni's. I did like Hooked, which is the seafood restaurant. When I was on board, I really loved like their big oyster platter. It was really kind of fun, and their cheddar biscuits are pretty fantastic. I do have several favorite bars on board as well. One of my favorites was the Schooner Bar, which is my favorite pretty much on every ship besides Oasis. If you want to hear my thoughts on Oasis, you can check out that video as well. But they do have Schooner Bar on board Navigator of the Seas. It's incredibly nautically themed and hosts daily trivia, some singing and fun later in the evenings, and has an amazing cocktail list. The Viking Crown Lounge has the best martinis on board and the best views of anywhere on the ship as well. So you got that big bird's eye view of either ports or the ocean. I just love it. As far as entertainment goes, Navigator of the Seas has lots of classic cruise items like the Royal Theater for Broadway-style shows. There's of course a casino, which was quite smoky on board, though Royal has started to add kind of non-smoking sections, which I think is really great. And they have lots of live music flowing throughout the ship with programmed games and activities throughout the day that you can check up on the Royal Caribbean app. These are like your staples like bingo and a bunch of different other game shows. Finally, let's talk the cabin selection on board. For me, this ship is the perfect size, so I don't really feel like I need to have a particular deck to be like close to the action or anything. There's a lot of elevators on the ship, but it still can get kind of busy during rush hour, so if you rely on them to move up and down the decks, keep that in mind. I did love my balcony cabin while I was on board. I found a really good deal on it, but I'd consider even an interior cabin for a short 3-night sailing as a way to save money on my trip for other fun. So those are the things that I think you should know before sailing on Navigator of the Seas. As I said, check out our full tour of Navigator below, and for a full review of the sailing, check out the rest of our channel. And thanks a lot. Happy travels.